But Justin, the least technical person on the face of the earth, is in charge of being able to hit a button that says present. And he got it. Oh my God, he got it to work.
Oh, no. Wait. It didn't take our list of teams. Hang on.
The least technical person on the face of the earth has once again disappointed us. Hello. Welcome to Updog Sports Talk. My name is Matt Miller, and I forgot to pee before this. Joining me today is Justin McGovern.
Well done, Matt. Well done. So we'll see how this goes. I will make sure to take as long as possible with each pick, just so that Matt has to hold it even longer. But anyways, mentioning picks, so if you're joining us, we are here to do round 2 of our NFL mock drafts. Obviously we have enjoyed watching these players in college, and now we're ready to see where they fit in the NFL.
Yeah, and if this is your first time with us, we here at Updog Sports Talk are all about representing the little guy. Years ago, when we started this, we got fed up with the big networks, ESPN, Fox Sports, just go on down the list, always focusing mainly on LeBron, the Cowboys, and whatever team Tom Brady was on. So we got kind of sick and tired of that. So we represent the bottom 5% of each league. And then we have our obligatory Cowboys talk and sprinkle some LeBron in once in a blue moon. But we are authentic. We bring it to you. We have not sold out yet. We are looking to sell out. So if you're looking to sponsor this show,
don't do that now, Matt.
No, I'm just playing. We're not going to sell out. But yeah, that brings us to our mock draft. All 32 teams are set. Justin, you want to kick us off?
With on the clock for the number 1 pick in the NFL draft is the Tennessee Titans. And my pick, I have them taking Cam Ward. I don't think all Titans fans will be particularly excited going quarterback here, but ultimately, I think that's what their front office is looking to do. Just kind of looking at the plan the Titans have, they seem to be a team that, they really went all in on being a passing offense. The problem was they did it with Will Levis, which is just a horrible fit. They last offseason, they got rid of Derrick Henry, brought in a couple, change of pace backs, basically said, we're going to be a passing team. So you need a quarterback to pass the ball. And that's where Cam Ward comes in. I think Cam Ward is a little bit more of a gunslinger than Shedeur Sanders is. So that's why I see him as a better fit here. He's going to throw in tight windows, whether it's good or bad. And at least keep, the offense moving at a nice, quick pace. Probably the closest thing they can find to running the Joe Burrow offense. But, that's where I end up seeing him go here.
Yeah, I agree. Cam Ward is the best quarterback in this class. Quarterbacks are overweighted when it comes to the draft. He's not my number 1 overall prospect, but he goes number 1 in the draft. Magnificent player, gets on the right team, he will do well. I don't know if the Titans are the right team. That's kind of to be seen, but we'll see how that goes. I have changed my mock draft since the last time. Abdul Carter, I think, is just a man amongst boys. He was playing with one arm and part of a back in the playoff and still disrupted almost every single play. And then more than likely, if he excels at his pro day and combine, or even if he just skips the combine, at this point, he's a lock for, I'd say, top 7. But Miles Garrett um, asking to leave Cleveland leaves a big hole on that defense. Abdul Carter just seems like a great fit. So you get rid of the 30-year-old, you bring in a 24-year-old. Just makes sense.
Yeah, I am going to disagree with you, which obviously, this kind of even stems from, if you watch last week's show, you'll know that, I think, I referenced a few times in the past where players have demanded a trade and it didn't happen. So in my case, I don't think a trade will happen. I think the Browns will find a way to keep Abdul Carter. I also think that, they still feel like they're a quarterback away from contending. They still had a pretty good roster. They just had a mess at the position. So I think they're going to ultimately go with a veteran quarterback, from free agency or a trade or something, like maybe like a Kirk Cousins kind of deal. And that
I would
leaves
agree with
them
that.
leaving someone that they'll need in the draft. And this is where I see a really good fit for Travis Hunter, because the Browns primarily have a need at corner. Obviously Travis Hunter kind of wants to play both ways, but he's not going to get to play fully both ways. However, with the Browns, he can mainly focus on being a corner, and they can stick him in there for key situations, key plays to be that electric playmaker on the offensive side of the ball as well. So he manages to be a great fit for them because of that situation. So that's why I have the Browns going with Hunter here.
Yeah, that would be a good fit. I would still disagree with you on the pick, but fit not bad. You want to move on to since we're doing this snake style,
Yeah,
onto
on to the
the
Giants here.
G man.
They need a quarterback. Now obviously they have a lot of other needs as well. They very clearly need to fix the entire offensive line. So I kind of feel bad putting Shador here because he once again going to have to struggle with bad blocking for his first year in the NFL. But the Giants desperately need a quarterback. I don't think they're going to go the free agent route here. They just have too many needs, so they just need to have someone to build around, and I guess try to convince their front office that's what they're going to do. So we'll see how that works.
I agree with you. I think Shador Sanders goes to the Giants. Um, he's used to not playing behind a offensive line, but I would say Neighbors on the wide receiver front is actually an upgrade from Hunter, at least at the NFL level. Um, so he comes in with a clear cut wide receiver one. This draft is pretty deep and goes pretty far into the late rounds when it comes to solid running backs. So if they can get a solid running back to go with Sanders, like a Travion Henderson in the second or third round, or like can't think of a whole lot of later round running backs right now, but I mean
There's a lot of good ones.
there's so many. But like if they started pairing some of the things like that, I think the G-men would have a bright future as long as they keep Sanders healthy. I didn't necessarily want to put Travis Hunter at 4, but I think Travis Hunter on the Patriots makes the most sense in the NFL. They need a corner, they need a wide receiver. They have a young, talented quarterback, and he's looking to throw the ball a lot. And he wants to play every down. Maybe not on special teams, but he wants to play every down, offensively and defensively. Um, I think the Patriots will give him um, that opportunity, and Vrabel will whoop him into shape and get this offense going. And I think, I don't know, I've said it before, but it's the butter to toast. Like this is, to me, makes the best sense out of everything.
I disagree. Butter the toast for the Patriots, and what they are hoping to address in this draft is seeing Abdul Carter fall to them. Carter and Hunter are definitely clearly the best two prospects in this draft, but it gets kind of tricky finding where they're going to land because of the quarterbacks. So ultimately, Carter ends up falling here to the Patriots, and they're going to be very happy with this pick. They really want to address their pass rush. That's really ideally what they want to do with this first pick, and address receiver later on in the draft. This is exactly what they want. So they're going to be pretty happy with this pick. Carter, like we mentioned before, is an absolute beast, and he's going to start to give this team a chance of defense. And moving on to the Jacksonville Jaguars, I know a lot of people are mocking defense to them, but they have got to address the offensive line. Like, you are running out of time to salvage Trevor Lawrence. You have another coach. You brought in an offensive coach. Okay, cool. The offense is probably going to make sense now. That's going to help them. All right, now you need to make sure you are protecting him. You are paying this guy a lot of money. He has a lot of potential. And so far, the Jaguars have done nothing but completely botch the situation so far. It's time to rebound, time to fix that, get themselves an offensive lineman to help protect him, and get this thing off the ground.
Normally, I would agree with you, and I've done actually multiple mock drafts where I screwed up later in the mock draft, and then had to restart. But but in those screw ups, I did have Will Campbell going there. But I'm gonna go with a different Will. I'm gonna go with Will Johnson. I know a lot of people have been going defense, but Will Johnson makes a lot of sense here because their pass defense was worse than trash. It was British trash. It was rubbish. It was really bad. They couldn't stop anything. A nosebleed, they couldn't. Whatever metaphor you want to use, they couldn't do it. Will Johnson is an elite talent that I would, if I had to pick a talent level and not necessarily style of play comparison, but a talent level comparison, I would put him with Jalen Ramsey, who also went to the Jaguars. Now we'll see this time around if
and by the way, it was the last time they had good play at the position.
Yeah. And then after that, it started dwindling down to the skeleton crew that they had last year. But Will Johnson makes his way down to the Jacksonville in Shad Khan's last ditch effort before he has to sell the team. The rate
Duval.
that was the most awkward press conference. The Las Vegas Raiders. I had mocked many things here. Quarterback is not going to be available at this point. At this point, I think that you and I can agree that there are no quarterbacks unless my only exception to that is if Dylan Gabriel has an absolutely great pro day and combine. He could squeak into the back half of the first round, but I don't think Gabriel will go top 10. Whoever ends up in Vegas, Aaron Rodgers, I think they're going to need a receiver. Not named Devontae Adams, who's currently a free agent, who may end up going back to the Raiders with his pal Aaron Rodgers.
No, he will not return to the Raiders. He needed that place so much.
McMillan is an equally talented receiver, but has raw talent. He has a little bit of wiggle room to grow. Vegas seems like a good spot. You have a bunch of crappy quarterbacks, and you have a lot of, I guess, time now to figure out if you want Aaron Rodgers, if you want, I don't know, Russell Wilson or whatever, or if Tom Brady wants to be part owner, part quarterback. But McMillan seems to be he looks good in a Raiders uniform. I saw some AI generated photos, and I'm like, that looks like he could go there.
Yeah, I agree on the fit at receiver, but when I put together my draft, I was trying to think about what what are we going to be looking at in terms of the board when it actually is draft time? The McMillan is a taller receiver. So, usually those receivers tend to fall down the boards at the Underwear Olympics. So, with that being said, I think Luther Burden will end up passing him on the boards. And that's why I have Luther Burden here instead of McMillan. In the Raiders position, I don't think they can lose either way. I think both are great receivers. So, good news for them. They get themselves a top target for whoever their quarterback is. And yeah, I mean, their offense just needs something, some sort of skill talent, because they just had such little skill talent this year. And moving on to
Wait, I have to do the Jets.
no, remember Snake draft?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Yep. So I really wanted to give the Jets an offensive lineman because they desperately need one, but I've been mocking offensive linemen to the Jets for quite a while now, and I feel like they never listen to me. So I'm just going to go defense in this one. They definitely do need to address the interior of the defensive line. It's really up in the air between the two Michigan defensive tackles, but I think ultimately by the end of this draft process, I think Grant is going to surpass Graham on most boards. I think some teams are already higher on him. So that's why I have him going there. But yeah, Jets address the interior of the defense, which is something they desperately need to do.
I would agree with you on that take about Grant over Graham. However, I want to see how the combine shakes out before I make that determination. However, Will Campbell is available in mine. I think at this point they realize that no matter who they put at quarterback will get killed if they don't get a big, meaty man to put there. And this
meatier men.
This bigger, meatier man is Will Campbell from LSU. He's just a dog. I think at this point, he's consensus number one overall offensive lineman. It's hard to argue, but the Jets, we'll see if they do this year. At number 8, the Carolina Panthers, they desperately need a pass rush. They spent a lot of money on the offensive line. You could go receiver here, but I think it would be a little bit of a reach for a receiver. You could go tight end if you need to, but I think ultimately pass rush is their biggest flaw. And Michael Williams from Georgia, I think they would be fine with having Abdul Carter fall to him, but I don't think he's going to fall this far. So Michael Williams is the next man up, the next edge rusher off the board to get sacks in Carolina.
Yeah. This is where, we tend to see, guys in the trenches rise in the draft. We start to see those guys go a little bit earlier. And, that's why I'm in agreement with you here. I think the Panthers go by Kel Williams. They have a need at the position. Again, teams tend to prioritize this position in the draft. So don't be surprised with that pick there. And then likewise, sticking with the same rule of thumb here, I got James Pierce Jr., the next edge rusher on the board, going off to the New Orleans Saints. The Saints, likewise, also need to get after the quarterback a lot better. It feels like they have not had a good pass rush in a long time. Basically, ever since Cam Jordan turned into more of a run stuffer than a pass rusher. And they somehow still do not give anyone next to him. It's finally time for that to change. Saints
yet again, am in agreement. I think right now, as it stands, this is a little bit of a reach for Pierce, but I think the need is so high for them that they like. And I'm not talking like a half a round reach here. I'm talking like maybe 4 pick reach. So not terrible, but I think the need is so bad that they need to get some edge rusher. Moving on to another team that has a big need, offensive line for the Bears. Caleb Williams was running around, and granted, I will say probably a little less than half. But a lot of the sacks that Caleb Williams took were actually on his own accord. He held the ball for a really long time, a lot of times, and could that be because the receivers weren't getting open? Probably, but regardless, they still need an offensive lineman. Banks, to me, seems like that guy that you can put at tackle, but you can also move inside to guard, either or in this scenario. I think you could put him in either position, he'll excel, and they can use him in either position.
Yeah, and I think that brings me to the big key here is that the Bears are actually kind of okay at the tackles. It's the interior of the line where the real problems set in. Not only were they bad there, but they also have a lot of free agents at the position. So, I mean, we're looking at a potential full reset here. And, guards don't typically go this high, but I think this is a situation where that needs to happen. Like we said, the Bears really need to protect Caleb Williams better. Honestly, they also need to get better at running the ball. They weren't really that great at that. So I think Tyler Booker from Alabama, he fills that role in perfectly. Might be a little bit of reach taking the guard here, but I think the Bears are just ultimately getting their biggest need out of the way. And then moving on to the 49ers. I've had defense mocked this position for a long time, but in this scenario, Calvin Banks fell to them, and they could stand to improve their pass protection. Banks can start over on the right side or even at one of the guard positions and, start out there and then eventually take over for Trent Williams because, he's entering his mid 30s right now. So, I think this is a move to help really secure the 49ers currently and in the future as well. And they'll be happy with this pick, the fact that Banks fell to them here.
Yep. I, on the other hand, go with the opposite Texas tackle. I go with Cameron Williams. I think that he would be a good fit for that offense. You really can't go wrong with either Texas tackle. Both, I believe, are first rounders. Looking at Justin's, probably not. But I think Cameron Williams is another guy that you could flex inside if you need him, but they really need him on that right side of that offensive line. After McGlinchey left, there's been a big hole, and last year showed it. Williams is going to fill that void, and maybe Purdy and gang get back to maybe not the promised land, but maybe the playoffs. Moving on to our obligatory Cowboys pick. Ashton Genty, the best running back talent since I would say Adrian Peterson.
Well, maybe Saquon.
Yeah, okay. I forgot. Yeah, I kind of forgot about Saquon there. But
How you just bought a jersey last week?
I'm thinking in terms of draft and the hype surrounding a running back, and I don't know. It just that 2018 draft just slipped my mind. But Ashton Genty to the Cowboys just seems like a great fit. They're in desperate need of a run game, and little high for a running back in today's day and age. But Ashton Genty's worth it. He's going to get you ridiculous yards per carry numbers.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I agree with you completely on this pick. The Cowboys just, I mean, they went into the season just with old and decrepit Ezekiel Elliott at the position. And then he even got worse because he really just goofed off all year and showed up late to meetings and stuff. And they still kept him as a starter, even though he wasn't doing anything. They eventually went with Rico Dowdell and found a little bit better production, but not great. He's a free agent anyways. So yeah, they badly need a running back. Got to get pressure off of your $90 million quarterback by giving him a run game. And I think this is going to be a way to, get this offense back closer to, what was that? Was that Dak's rookie year when the Cowboys were the 1 seed and really good at running the ball?
I think they've done that multiple times, haven't they?
Yeah, but there's one season in particular where they're really good, and then they got.
When
the
did he come into the
seed.
league? 2016.
Yeah.
I would say probably 2017 or 2018. I think they had the 1 seed.
But anyways,
Yeah.
Cowboys fans know what team I'm talking about. It'll get them closer to that level. So that would be that address some offensive line spots later on in the draft or by free agency. But I think this will be a huge pick for them. And moving on to the Miami Dolphins, um, you know they need to protect Tua. Plain and simple. Tua got hurt this year. They missed out on a lot of the time that they usually play better. You know, I don't know if there's a draft pick that can help them play better in cold weather, but at the very least, if you protect Tua early in the year, then you can get some wins early on. So I think that's what I'm gonna butcher this name, but Armand Membu.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Armand Membu.
Yeah, he's someone that's continuing to rise through the process, and I think he'll continue to move up boards. So a very good pick here for the Dolphins, just to give Tua some protection and help this team get back in the right track.
I normally would agree with you on the position. I think they are in desperate need on the offensive line, but they're also in desperate need on the defensive line. Letting Wilkins walk proved to be a boneheaded move. I mean, I didn't hear a whole lot about Wilkins' production out in Las Vegas, but when he was with the Dolphins, he was very productive, and they missed that productiveness on the defensive line. They need some kind of identity to keep them into games, and like I said before, I'm going to wait to see how the combine shakes out between these two defensive tackles before I make the determining factor. But as of right now, I have Mason Graham going to the Dolphins to fill that void. Um, Moving on to another defensive player for sweet Lou Anarumo. And Indy, they need a lot of things on defense, and they quietly have needed a lot of things on defense. Remember a few years ago when their defense looked real stacked?
Yeah,
Now
and
all
it's
of a
fallen
sudden they
off a
have like
lot.
3 good players and everyone else sucks. So a big part of having a good defense is having a safety that won't let anything go too deep. And Malachi Starks is that guy. He's a good hybrid safety. He'll stop the run, he'll cover deep. He's the safety that I would say Lou Anarumo had in Jesse Bates in Cincinnati. Think Starks can get to that level.
Yeah, he's a potential star at the next level, but I ended up going with a position that NFL teams value more. That's gonna be a trend I'm gonna have here is that safeties kind of drop a little bit further than expected because I just noticed the teams are not really valuing the position as much anymore. So, what position do they value? That is corner, which, by the way, goes to show the range of this draft because you had Will Johnson at number 5, and I am down at 14. Um, the Colts are going to be very happy that he fell here because he gives them a number 1 corner, something they really have not had in some time. So yeah, that's gonna be a huge pickup for the Colts. I think even if Will Johnson's off the board, they would probably go with a different corner here, just kind of depending on the fit that they like. But in this case here, perfect fit with Will Johnson. He gives them a huge piece of that defense. And then we go on to the Atlanta Falcons. I feel like we've been saying that they've needed a pass rush for about a decade now. So we're going to keep giving them defensive linemen and hoping they'll get that. Mike Green showed off at the Senior Bowl. He had an incredible performance. He is going to continue to hang around this range of the draft. So absolute beast out of Marshall. Green is going to go to the Falcons here and give them a top tier pass rusher.
I would agree that Green is flying up boards, but personally, I don't think he's there yet. I think he may get there, but I don't think he's there yet. Nick Scorton, falling on boards, I think Nick Scorton falls to uh, the Falcons in this draft. Same position. Scorton to me just has the build for the Falcons. Do like kind of doing what they want, but I personally think that this might change. The more I've thought about it today, Nick Scorton may be falling further, and Mike Green may be coming up. But for right now, I got Nick Scorton to the Falcons, and moving on to the Arizona Cardinals. A guy that I think has been flying up draft boards lately is Walter Nolan from Ole Miss. Um, he's a big, meaty guy that you can throw on the defensive line. And they, piece by piece, just keep chipping away, making this defense what it needs to be. And I think that with Walter Nolan, they get one step further to building that elite defense they want.
Yeah, I mean, Nolan is an immensely talented player. So that's why we could see him move up. I do think some teams have been flagged for character concerns, not consistent effort. That's kind of why, that's the main barrier to him being a first round pick. So but again, like I could see him going in this range. I could see a team falling in love with him and his skill set and taking him this early. In this case here, the Arizona Cardinals, I agreeing with the position, and they happen to luck out because Mason Graham's on the board. So they go with him here to give them top guy in the trenches on defense. A nice way to build around that. And then we go to the Bengals. Well, we have made no bones about this. The Bengals desperately need people in the secondary. I did think about McMillan here just because, he would be like, he would exactly perfectly replace what T. Higgins is currently. But I mean, ultimately, whether Higgins is there or not, the Bengals just need to address the secondary. The secondary was just way too bad last year. So Benjamin Morrison is one of the best corners in the class. I think he fits perfectly here. It obviously helps he's familiar with the scheme as well.
Yeah, I am in total agreement. I had Benjamin Morrison here in our mock draft 1.0. He's still here in my 2.0, and Al Golden just seems to solidify that for me. Morrison coming off an injury. Without that injury, I think he would be a little bit higher on the draft boards. With the injury, I think he falls right to the Bengals and is everything that the Bengals wanted. And Al Golden gets to keep a familiar face. And Benjamin Morrison, he's so good. I think his junior year they had some stats out. I forget the exact stats, but he had like no touchdowns, like giving up like maybe one touchdown the entire year, and had like 3 or 4 picks, and then like they didn't really throw to that side of the field. If he can get back to that level after the injury for the Bengals, watch out. Moving on to the Seattle Seahawks, the Sea Guys. They, regardless of who they have at quarterback, I can't see Geno Smith being there much longer. Isn't his contract up?
I don't think his contract up, but dude's like 35 now.
I know, and like he had that one good year, signed a 2 or 3 year deal, and then didn't really do much. I mean, props for him for getting paid, but at the same time, they're gonna have to move on from him at some point.
It's kind of a weird situation because, like, like he had that really good year, and then afterwards, it's been like, other people are kind of waiting for him to suck, but he's not quite bad, but he also has not reached the same level again.
Yeah. And maybe they take a shot at Sam Howell if he's still there. But in order to do anything, you got to protect whoever's back there. And Josh Simmons is a man. He's going to protect whoever they got back there. And the Seattle Sea Guys are going to get one step closer to be able to compete in that division again.
Man, you love Sam Howell. Would be an off season without Matt mentioning the possibility of Sam Howell starting somewhere. um, so this is where I ended up having. I think the Seahawks are a team that will value the safety position more than other teams. So that's where Malachi Starks ends up fitting. They have some good corners, but they need just a little bit, like Tariq Wooden and Witherspoon, like are good corners, but they just need a little bit more to really have the secondary takeoff. I think Malachi Starks is that guy that can help that happen. So that'd be a huge pick for them. And then I think we both went for the same thing. I mean, the fit of a Pirates corner going to the Buccaneers is just something I could not turn down. Siobhan Ravel from East Carolina. He's not going to get to do a lot of the pre-draft stuff because he tore his ACL, but he will be back for camp and everything. He is a really good corner. Again, to transfer elsewhere, stayed homegrown in East Carolina and played really well there. And he's going to be ready to tear it up in the NFL. And the Buccaneers they need to address the defense overall, but corner especially was a huge weakness for them.
I think they could go a couple different routes, but I'm in agreement. I think they go corner here. That was a big thing on why they couldn't move on because they couldn't stop the pass. But you took the words right out of my mouth. So moving on to the Denver Broncos, the 1, 2, and 3. The fourth best fit in the draft, Luther Burden to the Denver Broncos. It just seems to me like he was born to be a Bronco. I think he's an uber talented receiver, and based on his performance this past season, I think it drops him into this teen to 20s range. The Denver Broncos aren't going to let him slide much further. They need a wide receiver, and they need another young receiver on the other side from who's the Oregon receiver they have?
You mean Franklin?
Yeah. So they got like Franklin.
Sutton's their main guy.
Well,
the
yeah,
other
but
guys are kind of just.
I'm talking in terms of young talent because
Yeah.
Sutton's really not going to be there like terribly longer. Let's be honest. Luther Burden will be able to replace him in the future, but also contribute now. Broncos are set.
Yeah. So I ended up on the same page here where, I think Bo Nix, just to help this offense get to the next level, Bo Nix needs another target somewhere. Next to Cortland Sutton. They have a few other guys like Franklin and Marvin Mims who show up here and there, but obviously Sutton's their main guy that they go to. So they need to give Nix another option. I've looked at Sean Payton's offenses in the past, and typically he loves to have that top tier tight end, and Tyler Warren happens to be on the board. So it's a perfect fit. He's pretty much one of the best players available at this point. So the Broncos, I would say this is one of the best fits out there. Tyler Warren to the Broncos, giving Bo Nix just that perfect option in the middle just to go to. And, it's his nice little safety valve. Yeah. I considered McMillan here, but he's kind of the same kind of threat that Sutton is, so I didn't think that made sense. So with the next pick, I have McMillan going off the board. Steelers love these big, tall receivers. They typically get these guys in the second round, but in this case here, this was a position that the Steelers desperately needed most. And I've noticed in the past few years, the Steelers desperately need something on offense. They'll make that their first round pick. So that's why I think they go with here with a receiver. McMillan going to the Steelers.
I agree with the position, disagree with the player. Obviously, McMillan's off the board for me. I have them reaching a little bit for a receiver and going with Matthew Golden. I think Pickens' time is teetering on short term. I think the issues that teams saw in the draft are coming to a head years later for Pickens. whether he remains on the roster going into next season or not, um, they're still going to need a receiver regardless. Matthew Golden, not a bad option for them. He fills a spot and good replacement. Excuse me. Um, Another pass catcher, and I think this is a better fit than your thought at a better fit. Um, Tyler Warren to the Los Angeles Chargers. Um, I think he embodies what um, Harbaugh loves to do. Is he loves his big tight ends, and don't think Copeland is going to be a first round tight end. Maybe they go 1-2 tight ends and just have elite tight ends, but Tyler Warren is that talent that you don't want to pass up. And they have the run game going. They're going to implement a lot more play action pass. And in order to do that in the red zone, where they mightily struggled last season, Tyler Warren. I've mocked him here last time. I'm going to mock him here again.
I mean, that'd be fantastic for the Chargers. He's available. I just don't think he's falling that far. Honestly, I was a little bit surprised. I had him go to the Broncos. I think the Broncos are probably the floor for Warren. So while it is an excellent fit, I just don't think that he's going to get down this far. I did consider Loveland here, the tight end out of Michigan, because Harbaugh knows him. He fits what Harbaugh would want, but ultimately, I think their biggest need kind of falls in the defensive side. They need to address the secondary. Jahdae Barron, I think he's actually more of a corner than a safety, as displays safety here, but I think he's more of a corner. He'll fit better with what the Chargers want in their secondary, and just help them get another piece in that area. And we're going to keep the corner theme here. The Packers are definitely a team that needs a corner very badly. Alexander just got hurt at the end of the year. How reliable is he going to be moving forward? And they just don't have a whole lot else in the position. Trey Amos is a very talented corner, very tall. I think that'll give them someone that can help them defend against the really tough passing attacks that are in their division. I mean, everyone in their division is top receivers.
Yeah, and I'm in agreement with that. Trey Amos is a great fit. And who's to say that Alexander wants to stay in Green Bay? I mean, like, he had his moments last year where he was just like, meh. So maybe they move on, get Amos, and get another corner. But Amos does seem like a really good fit to Green Bay. Staying in division, Minnesota Vikings. They need a defensive tackle so bad. They need to stop the run. And I think one of the best guys in this draft to stop the run, Tyleik Williams from Ohio State. One of the big reasons why Ohio State won the national championship, they didn't let Notre Dame run the ball at all. And Williams had a huge hand in that.
That's a good fit.
Yeah.
I like that pick a lot.
I was proud of that.
Yeah, that's a good one. I actually very much considered that as well. Obviously the biggest weakness for the Vikings defense was stopping the run, but they had their issues stopping the pass as well. They need another corner back there to really help this defense go. Thomas out of Florida State, despite how bad of a year Florida State had, he was not the problem. He mostly shut down receivers on his side, and he's someone that's continuing to rise up boards. Big, tall corner, and I think the Vikings end up going of him here. And then the Houston Texans, the main reason I think why they fell apart this year is just because the offensive line stunk. And they're in a really difficult spot because they've invested money into quite a few of these pieces. So really the only way they're going to get to address this position is through the draft. So that's where I have Josh Simmons, a bigger, meatier man to help protect CJ Stroud and really get this offense back on track.
I'm in disagreement with that. I think they go wide receiver. Despite the pressure, and yeah, they did have a bad take of that offensive line this past year, but they got rid of the problem. So I think the talent is there, and they just needed the coaching to go hand in hand with it. I think part of the reason why is half their receivers got hurt. Actually, almost all their receivers got hurt. Um, they need another sure-handed receiver to make them probably the deepest wide receiver room in the NFL. And Emeka Ibuka would certainly add to that. He's a sure-handed receiver, a lot of talent. Little surprised that he didn't go last year because I think he actually could have gone higher last year. Um, but I think he would be a great fit for the Texans because he has that chemistry with Stroud.
Yeah, and reliability at the receiver position is something really big that they need. And that's exactly what Ibuka is. He very much fits right in that mold of the, Terry McLaurin with the Commanders kind of thing. And that's exactly what the Texans need.
Yeah. Moving on to the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams defense surprisingly well this past year. Now they're going to need a quarterback at some point. They do have an out on Matthew Stafford this year, but I don't think they take it. I think McVay is absolutely in love with Matthew Stafford, and they can get into. I think the QB class is a little bit deeper next year too. So they go linebacker to shore up that defense a little bit more, and Jalen Walker is an excellent talent. Yet another Georgia linebacker going in the first round. This time, instead of the Eagles, goes to the Rams.
Yeah. The one main weakness the Rams had was stopping the run. They had massive issues with run fits. Now, obviously they can address that in the interior, or they could get themselves a linebacker that can really help lead this defense to get them in the right position. That's where Walker falls in. I agree with you on this pick. And then we get linebackers off the board here back to back because that is a huge position need for the Ravens. We know the Ravens always love having Alabama linebackers. They go back to that equation here with Jihad Campbell out of Alabama.
I disagree with that pick. I think they go offense. I think they need to get a little bit more protection going for Lamar and Derrick Henry and all them. Tyler Brooker, this is his range. This is where guards go. This is where guards make their living. Tyler Brooker, great talent. Seems like a Ravens kind of guy. Now, the Lions. This is where I have them getting a steal in Mike Green. To have him and Aiden Hutchinson, you almost don't need a super fantastic secondary. You could probably get by with cheaper guys because you're going to have two guys that can get after the quarterback. And Mike Green can hold his own. He's a fantastic player. Don't look at the school too closely. Look at the talent. And Mike Green has the talent.
Yeah, well, I mean, some teams may have looked at the school too much last year and missed out on Quinyon Mitchell. And, the Eagles drafted and led to a Super Bowl. So clearly that works. Obviously, again, players don't have to transfer to be good. Which that would be a huge steal if Mike Green was still available on my board. He is not, but I agree on the position. Jack Sawyer is someone that throughout the playoff run, I mentioned was a future Detroit Lion. He is a Rust Belt kind of guy. And just feels like a perfect fit on this line in this locker room. This is my number one favorite match of this whole draft is Jack Sawyer to the Lions. I think this is a perfect fit for them. Then we move on to the Commanders. This I'm kind of torn on because it's like, do they want to try to protect, their star quarterback or, hit where some of their bigger needs are, which is, it was very much apparent in the playoff loss. They could not stop the Eagles at all. they have a huge need on about every level of the defense. Shamar Stewart happens to be the best player available at this point, so that's why I have them taken here.
I agree. I think they can't go wrong with Stewart. What's funny is we didn't even talk this week at all about
Yeah,
anything,
no.
let alone this draft. And we've been in agreement on multiple picks. And what's weird is we've been in agreement on multiple picks in the back half of the first round, which
I know
never happens.
having an agreement this far down is rare.
Yeah. But Stewart fills a need. Um, Great fit for the defense, and I think the Commanders keep it going. Um, the Buffalo Bills need a secondary. They were getting older. They tried to get some younger guys in there. They're not working out as well as they thought they would. They need a safety. DeMar Hamlin, great story. Has some plays here and there, but he gets caught looking in the backfield quite often. Xavier Watts will not get caught looking in the backfield. He will most likely be in the backfield because he will know the play. He has insane awareness, very talented player. I wanted to put him way higher in this draft, but based on team needs and other safety ability, I think this is where he falls.
Yeah, that'd be huge. I mean, I think if anything, this when you compare how the Bills defense looked in the AFC Championship to how the Eagles looked against the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, it just goes to show like how far away the Bills are on the defensive side. And if they had anyone other than Josh Allen at quarterback, this team would not have done this well. Just because they have so many needs on the defensive end. There's many ways I could have gone with this pick, but Derek Harmon out of Oregon is a very top tier defensive tackle, someone that can help them stop the run, and get after the passers from the. They already have, they have Ed Oliver, but they need a running mate next to him on the inside to really, really get pressure from all sides because outside of Oliver, they aren't really getting much pressure up the middle, so they need a guy to do that. And then we get to the Kansas City Chiefs, where, when the last time the Chiefs lost in the Super Bowl, it was very similar circumstances where the offensive line could not protect Mahomes and their offense just could not do anything and just looked exactly like it did on Sunday, just looked out of sorts. So what did they do that next offseason? They went all out on addressing the offensive line. I suspect the same thing will happen here. So they get the best tackle available here. Gray Zabel out of North Dakota State is an absolute beast. He showed out at the Senior Bowl. He'll be a perfect fit for them here.
I think that the Chiefs will look at what the Eagles did with their defensive line, and they noticed that they were stacked at guys who can not only stop the run but also stop the pass. And like I told you before, Grant and Graham, I have to wait to see what they do in the combine to really make a determination on which one's better. But currently, I have Grant here at 31 to the Chiefs. I think they try to build an absolutely elite defensive line and just win the trenches. That's when it comes down to winning football games, the biggest determining factor is winning in the trenches. They're going to start with the defensive line for that and get this defense because you got embarrassed in the Super Bowl. At one point, you were down 34-0. Can't happen again. You need to get a guy who can stop the run and get after the quarterback too. And Grant's that guy. To finish off the draft in the first round, I have the Eagles taking Jihad Campbell. The Eagles have a laundry list of players that they have to decide on who to bring back. They have Josh Sweat, they have Zach Bond, and they have Becton. They're not going to be able to bring back all three. And unfortunately, in this scenario, I think Bond is going to be the odd man out. What better way to fill the position than getting an Alabama linebacker who is fairly elite in his own right?
Yeah, and I'll wrap it up here with TJ Sanders out of South Carolina. The Eagles just keep it going with this defensive line. Sanders is a player who was very productive his entire college career. It's been a little bit surprising he's not getting more first round hype, but I've noticed a few good mock drafters out there have been putting him in. So I'm like, okay, maybe he is going to go first round, and NFL teams are just trying to be quiet about it. Feels like the perfect steal kind of pick that the Eagles could get here.
I think the last 5 picks of the first round are going to be interesting because I think the top guys in the second round could also be first rounders, where like normally it's like maybe the top 20 guys in the first round are legit first rounders and the rest are like, you could put them in the second round kind of guys. I think there's a lot more first rounders out there this year. But there's only 32 spots, so it'll be interesting.
Yeah, and I still think it's another year where, there's not a huge amount of separation. It's going to be a very difficult year to mock because, really, even the top four right now is very tough to determine. We don't know for sure at this point if the Titans are even going with a quarterback at number one. I felt like last year, we had a few gimme picks. This year, we may not have any at all. I think we know the top four players are going to go in the top four. We just don't know what order. And then after that, like all bets are off. Anyone could go in any order. There's a lot of guys who seem to be carrying a range of going in the first to third rounds.
Yeah.
So it's going to be really interesting. There probably is going to be someone that we mock in the first round that ends up not going until the third round.
Yeah. And
that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I can't wait for this draft. I think if there's one thing that we're excited for in the NFL and probably bet our show on is our mock drafts and our live show for our for the NFL draft, which live 7:30 p.m. April 24th. Got a few guests coming. Be there or be square.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's to cap off the show. And like us, subscribe, show us some love. Follow us on X, Instagram, Threads, Facebook, TikTok. Whatever you have, we're on it. We're also on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Podbean, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, and of course, live here on YouTube every Wednesday at 8:00. Maybe 8:02 sometimes, but don't hold that against us. Now, for a less serious conversation, Justin, are you able to present?
We'll find out.
We have our spinning wheel of information. But Justin, the least technical person on the face of the earth, is in charge of being able to hit a button that says present. And he got it. Oh my God, he got it to work.
I know, right? All right. So our question of the
to
day
spin.
is,
oh, nice. Weirdest opponent.
a team has played in history. All right. And then, oh no, wait. It didn't take our list of teams. Hang on.
The least technical person on the face of the earth has once again disappointed us. Luckily, we got through like the other part of our show, and this isn't like the main attraction, but it's a lighthearted way to end our program.
Hang on, I got our list. There it is.
Okay. Click to spin. That was a good spin.
No, right? Look at that. What a great spin.
Kansas. We got Kansas again. We
got Kansas last time.
What is the probability that we would get their stadium review and their weirdest opponent?
All right. So we'll pull up.
Wow, your computer speed is actually rather impressive for how bad you are at interneting.
All right, here we go. So they have this is in state though, but they have played 11 games against the Haskell Indian Nations.
Nice. The Kansas
Iowa
City
Navy,
YMCA.
2 games against them. Midland Lutheran.
Uh,
Hang on. We just got to go like non-FBS teams in a row here. William Jewell. Hey, back when Santa Clara had a football team.
yeah, I also saw on the other side a couple teams you would like to.
Oh wow, they played the Pittsburgh State Gorillas once.
Nice
Let's
reference.
see here.
This is the weirdest opponents Kansas had ever had on our
Kirksville
Christmas film.
Osteopath.
That's pretty funny. Ensworth Medical College. I was so hoping that they would lose.
Hey, back when Cal State Northridge had a team. Boston University, back when they had a team. That's not Abilene Christian. That's Abilene, Kansas. Washington, Missouri, Washburn, Kansas.
There's a Denver and a
Hey,
Denver AC.
I think is this the Denver Pioneers?
I think so.
Man, I don't remember when they had a football team.
Surprising amount of teams or games against Drake.
Yeah, I mean and look at their record's not good either.
No.
I don't know when's the last time that Drake like offered scholarships for football even, or if they ever have.
I think the best one
South
is
State.
the Haskell Indian Nations. They actually are like Kansas has a bad record against them. I kind of want to see like if there's any footage out there of the Haskell Indian Nations playing football, because if they're able to bring that back, dude, I would totally be a fan.
All right, we're gonna find out.
Football.
So
football.
they're in the same city, by the way. Hey, they have a page. We'll go to their Wikipedia though.
Their
They
last
first
season was 2014.
Oh no. R.I.P. They've lost their team a few times. Ooh, look at this. Compiling the 1909 team. We gotta find out about these guys. All right, their 1909 team. They beat Texas 12-11. Is this so Denver Ministers? Oh. They beat Nebraska. Like, look at this team.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the conference at the time. The Midwest. Oh, this is Midwestern Independence. So,
that's back when almost every team was called the Normals.
Yeah, like Iowa State normal. Iowa State, this is the last time the Iowa State was good before this year. You know, like the last time Iowa State set those records, anyways.
Yeah.
Their special 1909 team. Notre Dame is here, Michigan, Cincinnati. Like, look at all this whole group here. But yeah, I mean, this is a pretty good team they had.
Yeah, we've gone way down the rabbit
Texas.
hole on this.
Dude, that's the fun part is
Yeah,
going down
I
the
think the
rabbit hole.
Haskell Indian Nations Fighting Indians football team, which I don't think that name would really fly today. I think they
Probably not.
they win the award for
Ooh.
I hate to say weirdest team, but we've never heard of them. So weirdest team to play against Kansas and have a decent record against them.
Look at this 1913 team beating the Kansas City Vets.
They beat Midland 101 to
101 to nothing. Dude, look at it. I mean, look, this here says they were the most dominant team of the 1913 college football season. They were robbed of a national title, Matt.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they came so close, though. I think this is the one they missed just coming up 1 point short of Nebraska. Hey, they played Creighton. Bring back Creighton football. Shout
Yeah.
out. Beat Texas A&M 20-0. Just smack them around. What a team.
Yeah.
Man. All right. Do we have any other good ones that they said? Ooh, there we go. A peak of prominence under Dick Hanley from 1922 to 1926. 47-9-4 record. Man, these guys, like, why did they give up on football? Like, oh, here we go. In the early 1930s, the Bureau of Indian Affairs eliminated junior college courses and reduced the school's emphasis on college athletics.
Hmm.
After the 1938 season, they dropped football altogether, and then the program was revived with the schedule mostly being military academies, forts, and junior colleges. And then they gave up on it 1 year later.
And then tried again and didn't have funding.
Yeah. All right. One last look at the 1926 undefeated team before we call it a day here. Wow. On December 15th, that one did not count, by the way. But
Wait,
prior
scroll
to
down, scroll down.
they had a scrimmage.
Scroll down. They played St. Xavier High School and beat them 27-0.
Oh my gosh.
And that was their highest attendance on record that year.
They did. They played St. Xavier High School. Oh my gosh.
Oh wait, hold on. Click on that and make sure. I think that's Corcon Field, I think is where. Yeah.
No, this is Xavier. Look at this.
Yeah, as soon as I saw Corcon, or however you say that, field, I was like, that's not where St. X plays. That has to be Xavier.
Yeah. I mean, this is incredible. They played, this is Wichita State. They played Wichita State. They played Dayton. They played Xavier. I mean, just like, the Loyola Ramblers, like all of these basketball powerhouses.
Bucknell,
yeah. Won this game. Look at the start. No points given up, just destroying everyone in their path. They played 2 games in Ohio this year, which is very random. Like back in this day and age, like they mostly kept everything regional, but then randomly they played 2 games in Ohio, playing the Dayton Flyers and the Xavier Musketeers. And then what is this? They played at the stadium of the Boston Braves against Boston College and tied. And they blew out Michigan State. And then they played Tulsa.
Tom Hook, October 17th, 1911. Record crowd sees UD lose. Brilliant halfback of Indian 11 scores 4 times. That's cool.
All right. Sold. I need to see this. Just the laurels of the head of McLean, Cherokee Indian halfback on the gallant Haskell Indians team, and let the reef fasten itself on the straight black hair and droop over the bronze-colored skin of his forehead. He beat the University of Dayton Saturday afternoon at the stadium here, as he beat so many other teams in his 2 years with the squad. His final score was 30-14, and McLean made possible all of his team's points. I like the wording of this. Made possible all of his team's points. He having made 4 touchdowns and a field goal for all total of 20. So he kicked as well.
Dang, that's impressive.
This, together with the fact that he gained a total of 150 yards in 42 plays during the afternoon, indicates in a way just how this lad of 19 summers ripped through the Flyers and pounded his way over the chalk marks to the goal line. True, he had a 2,000-pound line in front of him with a much smaller team, but McLean ignored interference so often that it seemed to the 10,000 spectators that he was carrying the burden for his whole team.
Who wrote
By the
that?
way,
Is the writer in here?
I've seen like older articles in the past, and it is hilarious, like how when they talk about teams, they often love to reference how big they are. That's
Yeah.
it. That was their main thing for basically figuring out their skill set. Oh man. I mean, this is incredible. I gotta make sure
Who's
to
the
put
guy
this
that
on
wrote
here.
it?
This was written by Tom Hook.
Nice. Tom Hook, you had an impressive writing style. You're probably not alive anymore, but
I absolutely love Tom Hook's writing style. It is incredible.
well, that is all. Justin, stop streaming. That is the show. We appreciate you guys following along with our mock draft, watching Justin's terrible time with the internet, and then following along with our. We no longer do food because we started running out of topics. I have one, but I don't know how interesting it is. Um, but yeah, we ran out of food topics, so we had to go to spin the wheel of college teams. So maybe we'll get a Justin. Maybe we can try to find a spin the wheel for NFL teams too. Um, but yeah, that's a show. Appreciate you watching. Go to the social medias and find us, and all our updates are on Twitter. So follow us there, and don't forget to like and subscribe this video. We will catch you guys next week.
Kansas is 0-1 versus Bowling Green. Let's go, Falcons.